Hello, everyone. All right. Sorry about that. The house is currently a madhouse, and I was trying to move boxes and stuff because I want to show you some things. And yeah, so I grabbed a bunch of plants I wanted to show you. Um, so yeah, so sorry about that. I was like, ah! I didn't have everything prepared right from the get. But hi, I hope your Monday's off to a good start. So good morning and good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're tuning in from. Um, it is raining over here, so it's like dark and gloomy and not so nice. I hope it's a lot nicer wherever you're tuning in from. Um, yeah, so what am I talking about? Why do I have boxes and why is there a bunch of plant material all around the house? So basically, over the weekend, Brian and we had been contacted by a farm upstate, and we went and they actually donated a bunch of herbs. And yeah, that's what I've started processing them yesterday. I have to continue today. There's just so much. There's so much. And I just wanted to show you a few ways that I will be processing them. Um, but yeah, it was amazing. So what was really serendipitous too is that Brian and we have been talking about potentially getting land and a house upstate, and we were talking about like what we wanted to do, and I really want to set up like a permaculture garden, and so we would plant perennials and uh, have these plants coming back year after year, kind of creating a food forest. And we were talking about, well, we need to we I would like to I think I would like to have like the house with like a regular bathroom, um, in terms of, yes, born and raised here in the city. So I would like the option of having a regular bathroom, but I would also like to have like outside, have like a really cool like composting toilet and an outside shower and things like that. So I want the best of both worlds. But I really want land and yeah, to set up a farm and to set up a really I want to set up also like a big greenhouse and a grow facility for different house plants and things like that. Um, so yeah, but we were discussing all these things as we were riding up. It was a 4 hour drive, so we had a lot of time to talk, and we were just kind of like spitballing ideas and um, kind of like what we would like to do on the land. And I always want to do like a mentorship program and things where folks can come and because my background's in agriculture. It's just that here in the city, it's very difficult unless you can get a plot at one of the community gardens, which is very high in demand. And so there's like wait lists and things like that. I've gotten lucky where I can kind of give away seeds due to my involvement with Herbalists Without Borders. We get seed grants, so I'm able to give those out to community members, and then I can help them plant and stuff. So I can still have access to dirt and having plants in there that then later I can harvest from, but it's not the same as having your own. And so I would definitely like that. That's the goal. So we're here just kind of talking, and then we were talking about like the house and if we would opt to do something like I uh we were talking about like the storage containers, like the big shipping containers, and how you can make those like modular homes. And what I like is that could also potentially be if like we were to set up a bunch of different ones, have like a library and have like one where it's like my office and apothecary, and then Brian could have his own, and then we have like the main house. But then it's the ability to move it around, right? If something were to happen, we needed to shift it. It would make it so much easier to like move the house, literally move the house around. So anyway, we were talking about all these ideas. When we get to the farm, it was like seeing our dream 10 years in the future. And we met the folks that are running it, Greta and Ben. It's called the Unedija farm, and oh my gosh, it's literally like they started 10 years ago. They have an operational like food forest. They have a bunch of orchids, orchards, orchards with like apples. They even grow a lot of local like native species, so black walnuts, hazelnuts. Um, Gosh, it was just nuts. And then uh, goji berries, comfrey, which then not only do they harvest as a medicinal, but then they also use it as they chop it and re-drop it on the ground because it makes really great fertilizer. So I love that folks are using it that way. Um, but yeah, and they had the compost toilet, and they had these beautiful, they had a school bus, the schoolies. Brian and I always love watching those conversions on YouTube when they take the school bus and they make it into a mobile home. And it was so beautiful. So we got to actually go inside and tour it and see. And oh my God, absolutely gorgeous. And then Ben had spent, I think he said it took him a few years, I think 2 years to build their tiny home, and it has like this loft and all this gorgeous wood, and he even has like a ladder that like fixes into the wall, so it's like it you don't even see it and then it pops out. It was so cool. Brian and I were like completely geeking out. It was so beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And they have relationships with the local Amish community. I was not aware that we had that large of an Amish community in upstate New York. I always think like Amish Pennsylvania. So I didn't realize that there's so many apparently in that area in where we went upstate. And yeah, so they have a working relationship. They get scrap wood from there, and then that is what fires their wood stoves. Um, and it's like this self-sustainable uh, farm, and they have people that come and do farm work and like interns and stuff, and they shifted to starting to grow a bunch of medicinals, and they finally got their nonprofit status 2 to 3 years ago, I believe it was like 2 to 3 years ago. And yeah, and so now they're expanding, and they're giving away so many herbs to try to get them in the hands of the communities. And so because one, I have a chapter under Herbalists Without Borders for Queens, New York City. So hence they contacted me. And then they didn't realize that I'm also the executive director of Herbalists Without Borders. So this looks like the start of a really wonderful partnership. It's amazing. So Brian and I we were literally walking around, and then they have the compost toilet, and then they just had everything that we were literally talking about as we were driving up, that we wanted to have one day. Um, like in my head, I thought it was like, oh, like a community garden, because they said it was like a community garden. So I was thinking like, raised beds, and we would get like a couple things. And I did not expect the volume that we received. Hence, I was like a little unprepared. So I've been processing stuff. and then, um, and then just the size of this farm, and it's a Unadija. Let me put I'll put here. I'll drop the farm. Here we go. And yeah, so they have 11 acres, and it's in West Edmiston. Edmiston? Edmiston, I guess. Yeah. Edmiston, New York. Let me drop them that link there. So definitely check that out. Absolutely amazing. But I wanted to show you a couple of the herbs that they donated to us, that I started processing. So, and I wanted to talk about a little bit, just so what do I mean by processing, right? And what do you do? What what on earth do you do with a bunch of these types of herbs? Um, so what was great is it's an organic farm. So when when we were unloading the boxes and everything, there's wildlife that comes with the herbs. So I caught a leaf-footed bug. I have it like in a little box right now. We also caught a little a jumping spider. And what's funny is that Brian and I have raised jumping spiders over the years. We've had many that have, lived long, happy lives, but they only live about 2 years. So it's very sad. You watch them grow up, and then fortunately they have a very short lifespan. But we love raising jumpers, and just like 2, 3 weeks ago, we were talking about getting another jumper. And yeah, I was like, oh, I kind of miss having a jumper. We should get like another one. We should buy one. And we were opening the boxes, and I was going through which was it? I think um it was the yarrow. I was opening up the box of yarrow, and sure enough, there was a jumping spider. So we're gonna set it up. I caught it. I put it in a little terrarium box, which I was gonna show you. So I you've probably heard me mention it before, but I have colonies of dwarf white isopods. So these are some folks know them as pill bugs or roly polies, but they're dwarfs. So they're very small. They're like the size of very small ants, and they're white. Very cool. Had bought a whole colony that I had used to seed a lot of our terrariums because we have bioactive terrariums, like for our leopard gecko, our frogs, our micro geckos. We have a yellow-headed geckos. We also have a mourning gecko. So we've used that in their tanks. But then I had a few left over. I had thought I emptied out the whole thing, and right when I was doing like kind of like a last check on the container. There was like 5 or 6 left. So I had a container very similar to this one, um, slightly smaller, and I decided to make a mini terrarium, and I put those like 5 or 6 that I started with, and I was like, oh, I'll have like a little mini terrarium, and if they overpopulate, then I'll upgrade them. And sure enough, it took several months, and they started really populating. So I had started another one, but this time I started with 10, and I started that right before we left to Costa Rica. So that was the beginning of December. And so it takes about a year to really like get really going. Like to have the whole thing like really operational. But they blew up, like their colony blew up. So I was telling Brian, I need to seed a bunch of new colonies, and we have a few friends that want some. But then I ended up getting a bunch of these, and so I actually might make a couple of these to sell. And I'm thinking about selling them. I can't ship them, because then yeah, they would fall apart. It would not ship very well. So not for I won't ship them for now. Maybe eventually I'll have it where, like, I guess maybe I can make a kit, and I can have everything where folks can kind of make their own, and I include everything you need with like a tutorial. But for now, I'm gonna make a bunch of terrariums, and yeah, and I'll gonna post some for sale. So if you're in New York City and you're looking for some white dwarf isopod colonies to start, if you want to add them to your houseplants, your terrariums, or anything like that, let me know because I'm gonna start cranking out a couple of these, and I found these really gorgeous. And so I do drill holes and things into them. So but I really like them, and they're slightly bigger. They're like half an inch bigger than the ones I was using. So uh yeah, they're super cool, and there's it's such a micro environment, so it's a lot of fun to have. But this was the box that I was able to grab the leaf-footed bug in, and then I grabbed another one to grab the the jumping spider. So I have to set those up for the jumping spider. As for the leaf-footed bug, I'm not sure what I should do. It is considered a pest. Um, so I wouldn't feel comfortable releasing it out into outside and like where it could potentially go into a neighbor's garden. So I have to decide what. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I might just like keep it as a pet. I'll feed it and then it can live out the rest of its life. I'm not really sure. I mean, it's a pretty substantial sized insect. Hold on, I think I have it over here. So I'm not really sure what to do with it. Here we go. If you can see it. So at first I thought it was a stink bug, but I think it's a leaf-footed bug. Well, you can just see how big it is. So it came with the herbs. I wasn't sure what to do with it. I feel bad just like killing it, so I'm like, I don't know. So I'll either probably just take care of it. But I wanted to show you some of these herbs that picked up. Um, oh, did I hear that? I heard. Oh, let me see here. So, here are just a couple of the herbs. I just got to be careful with the nettles. I don't want to sting myself. Hold on, my grow light is there. We go. So here just yes, Suzanne would probably find an entomologist for the bug. Yes. Um, oh yes, and yes, Suzanne, I do definitely need to move somewhere with more room. Uh, yeah, yeah. We need more room. We definitely need more room. Even just, it's not about like getting more stuff or anything either, just like more space. Definitely. Our apartment is not that not that large. Um, but yeah, so here's just a couple I have in a basket right now. So I just wanted to kind of introduce you to a few of these. I am making little bundles, and so I'm going to be giving them away to the community. I'm also going to be, so I'm drying them in a variety of ways. So some I'm drying, I actually made bundles and they're um, tied together, very loose bundles. So if you're ever drying herbs, you don't want to make like a giant bouquet, because what's going to happen is there can't be adequate air circulation. So the center is going to rot. So this is the case too if you wanted to like dry your own flowers. Let's say you got like some really pretty flowers, or you like pick some flowers from your garden and you really want to preserve them. You want to kind of like dry a bouquet. Just you have to space it out. So just have just a couple. Try not to have like too many clumps of stems. You might end up having to remove some of the leaves towards the base as well. So you just want to make sure it's kind of like open and airy, because if you put like a huge bouquet, everything in the center is gonna rot and you're gonna lose the whole thing. It's gonna mold. Um, and it can still mold even if you have them pretty spaced out. It can still happen, but you want to try to set yourself up for as much success as possible. So yeah, so I've made a bunch of bundles a little bit bigger than this that are currently drying. So what is yarrow? You might not recognize this. So it's Achillea millefolium, and millefolium means 1,000 leaves. So you could just see these little fine, kind of feathery leaves. Yarrow is an amazing herb. It's also known as like the nosebleed plant. Um, so I think staunchwort as well. So there's a couple of common names, but it's basically really well known for its ability to work as a styptic or a hemostatic, which means it can stop bleeding. So if you have a cut or a nosebleed, it was very common to grab this, kind of mush it up into a ball and stick it up your nose. And yeah, it has like this really great ability to help with bleeding. It's also a very incredible antibiotic as well. So you don't want to, if you're taking it internally. So usually, I use a lot of yarrow externally. It's something I like to have in like a first aid kit. You can dry it and put it in the blender to make it a powder, and it makes a great styptic. So you might be familiar with styptics if you have dogs or cats and you cut their nails, where you have a little powder called Quick Stop. And so you take it on a little Q-tip, and if you cut them accidentally and get the wick, you put the powder, and it kind of like it stops the bleeding. So yarrow works exactly like that. So if you're familiar with like Quick Stop, that very similarly, like how it would work with yarrow, if you powder it, it works really well. And yeah, you can dry it and then pulverize it. If you want to kind of use it more of like as an antibiotic to kind of have in the background, kind of have in your cabinet if need be. Of course, some infections are pretty substantial, right? So you would end up really needing antibiotic, like pharmaceutical grade, I should say, pharmaceutical grade antibiotics. Um, but these actually end up working really well, especially as a rinse. So if you got like a pretty gnarly cut, that doesn't need stitches, of course, and you kind of want to really give it a good rinse. You want like a nice antiseptic. You can use like a diluted yarrow tincture, because the tincture does have alcohol, so it would sting. If you want to use it straight, I mean, hey, but it does have alcohol in it. And that's what I'm going to do with a lot of the yarrow as well, is I'm going to make some big batches of tincture. And so I'll record that, to show, the whole process. Uh, and yeah, so some is being dried to be kind of shared out that way, and then some is going to be tinctured. So I have some that are drying again in two different ways. So some in these like little bundles that then are easy for me to kind of give away as bundles. Then I have some that are drying on these like it's like an expandable herb drying rack that basically you set them kind of like on like a piece of mesh, um, and you make a very thin layer, so you don't like throw them all in there. You want to make sure that they're spaced out. And so I have a fan running, and I mean we have the AC too, so we have it in the kitchen, so it's warm, but and it's not in direct sunlight. And then with the fan, it really helps. It's just that because the rain started, the humidity went up. So I was like, all right, yeah, I have to keep the fan on, and I have to keep the AC on to try to bring the humidity down as much as possible. So I want them to dry. So I don't want them to go bad. So yeah, so trying to kind of work with the environment right now. So I'm making some that are drying in those racks, because those are going to be crushed. So then once they're dry, so it really depends in terms of the rate. It can be a couple days, and it can also be like up to 2 weeks or something. So we'll see how they dry. Um, and those will be crushed, and then I can make big bags that then I can share with the community. So that's more shelf stable. Then with the little bundles that I'm making, then yeah, I can do that too. And I am going to do some that I'm going to try in the oven as well. So unfortunately, Suzanne, we don't own a microwave. We don't own a microwave. We got rid of our microwave like really long time ago. And it was just to keep us from like eating like ready-made meals and stuff. We were just like, no, let's just we barely use it at that point. It's like almost a decade ago. And we got rid of it, and yeah, we never got one. We do have the air fryer. We do have and our oven. So I am going to utilize those as well. And we have a dehydrator. So we have some elderberries. Oh, I'll show you that in a second too. Um, but so with the yarrow, so yeah, a couple ways that we're going to use that. So the alcohol tincture, drying it to give away in little bundles, and then drying it to crush and have that ready. So if I can mix, I can make some blends to share, or I can have it as a kind of like a single, for community members that are in need. And so this isn't, none of these are being used for sale. So this is going to be all to give away. Um, yeah. So I'm pretty excited as we're processing everything, because I've never had like this much herbal product to work with. So it's really great to play around with them in so many different ways. A Aguilar, I have a different color flower for the Yarrow plant. They've all dried and the leaves are brown. Can I save the dried flowers and leaves for use for something? Oh yeah, absolutely. So you might have different cultivars. Um, so usually like the wild type yarrow is white. Um, but you can definitely, I mean, like there's like pink yarrows and like yellows and oranges, really gorgeous ones. You can absolutely save them and use them. Absolutely, absolutely. Those are so pretty. I really like the cultivars of different yarrows. Really beautiful. Let me see what else we have here. So this is one of my favorites. Um, chocolate mint. It smells so good. It smells like what is it? The York patties? Um, or like thin mints. I'm not a fan of eating the chocolate with the mint in it, but I do like the smell of it. They do have some flowers. Let's see if the camera gets them. So that's some of the flowers, and they have this kind of like a rosy kind of brown tint to the stems, and they smell so good. So I have literally a box of this, so I've been processing these. um and one thing too to note when you're processing herbs, so let's, even if you cut your own herbs, or somebody from a community garden goes, hey, here, have some herbs, if you want to dry them, for instance. So this hasn't been processed yet, so I'll show you what that means. Another word for this is just another weird herbal term, in case you're not familiar with it, and it's called garbling. And so basically it means processing the herbs, like preparing the herbs for whatever preparation you're going to do. So yeah, here, so you see there are some leaves that have some predation. So you see like these were chewed up. This is an organic farm, so they don't they don't spray. So some of the leaves are damaged by insects. So you would take that off. So you would just pinch that off, and that gets tossed. Um, and then yeah, you just make sure none of the leaves are like turning really brown, for instance, or if they have like some damage. You just want to, when you're actually drying them, you want the plant to look nice and healthy before you dry it, so that in case anything, let's say even something like this where it's starting to kind of get brown here at the bottom, um, I like to take these off. I just don't want to risk anything starting to mold, um, and then messing up the whole drying process. Um, don't the spread a lot? Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what. Um, but yeah. So that was weird. I have no idea. Zoom just closed and then reopened. So I have no idea what just happened. Um, but yeah, so chocolate mint smells absolutely amazing. What I love using chocolate mint for, I am going to be drying it. I am actively drying some. Uh, but what I really like to use chocolate mint for is as a tincture. Um, and so having it, um, yeah, as a tincture is the way to go. Uh, I love it to use it for flavoring. You can add that flavor to like baked goods. You can make like cordials. You can make like a bunch of things with these really lovely, lovely smelling herbs. So chocolate mint, if you haven't tried it, it's so good. Um, Definitely recommend. I don't mind having this. I don't like the actual chocolates with the mint in them. Another plant, and I brought some tongs because I don't feel I so usually I don't mind getting stung by nettles. That's totally fine. But I am, I've been doing immunotherapy, and so I don't think that's the best idea. And I did get the tip of my ring finger stung when I was moving something with the boxes, and it went numb for a little bit. So I'm just like, all right, I'll wait till they're dry before I handle them. But this is stinging nettles. I'm holding it with these bamboo tongs. I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but they're covered in these little, they look like little needles. Let me see, little thorns. Um, and what they are is these silica capped little needles that are all along the stems, even on the undersides of the leaves, and to protect the plant. But what it does is that it has this little silica cap. So what happens is that when you brush up against it or you touch it, that cap actually kind of like gets stuck into your skin, and it's like a hypodermic needle, and it starts to inject you essentially. It kind of pushes through um, histamine, and then this can cause pain. It can cause swelling. It can cause itchiness, burning, like an odd tingling sensation. It makes blood flow to the area. And so in usually pre-immunotherapy, when I would find nettles, I would purposely sting myself. I have arthritis. And so it's like it would hurt for a couple minutes. It kind of is like an uncomfortable feeling. It's not like, oh my God, so much pain. It's just like, ooh, ow, kind of thing. And then I would, after a few minutes, I was fine. And your you could feel like it's like your hands, the area starts to get really hot. There might be some redness, but then it feels really nice afterwards because it gives you some relief. So some people with arthritis, they purposely sting themselves with nettles. I have heard of folks that with arthritis also using bee sting therapy, and I've been stung by bees before, and I don't think I could do that on purpose. So, um, yeah, that's no, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can do that. But nettles, sure. Um, but yeah, nettles are incredibly nutritious. So, if anyone it's great for gosh, there's like phosphorus and potassium and vitamin C. It's just so much. It's really wonderful, and I really like having nettle tea. I have nettle infusion very often. So I make infusions where it's basically a tea that you let sit for extra time. So with Brian and I will, we'll make some nights where we're like, okay, yeah, we really need to make sure that we set ourselves up for the next day really well. We'll make a nice infusion that we'll set up with, whatever we're really looking for. So nettles is always added in there. Sometimes mullein if we need some more respiratory support. Um, Sometimes oat straw, adrenal support if we're like, okay, tomorrow's going to be a really difficult day. We should probably have some oat straw, in there just to kind of help us get through. Um, and then yeah, anything else? Sometimes a hibiscus, high vitamin C. I really love to add hibiscus. Um, yeah, have an infusion and then I let it sit overnight. So you want to let that sit. Sometimes for like flowers and leaves, usually like 4 to 6 hours is fine, but you can leave it longer. Uh, if it's roots or seeds, for instance, you're gonna want to leave that like at least 8 hours is gonna be enough time. So we let it sit overnight, and then it's good to go. You can sip it throughout the day, and there you go. It's ready to go. And you can put that in the fridge. So if you strain it, you can put it in the fridge. It keeps for up to 3 days. So you can enjoy it if you make a bigger batch for you or for your family, to have on hand. So nettle is always included in there. Now, even when you cut it, if it's still fresh like that, it can still sting you. But once it is dry, it can't. So it no longer will sting you once it's dry. And yeah, so I always have dried nettles here in the house. I also have a bunch of nettle tincture. So nettle tincture, what's really funny is that nettles can be seen as, let's say, the poison and the antidote in one. So as I said, they sting you and they pump you full of of histamine. So you're having this like an allergic reaction essentially. But then if you drink the tea or if you take the tincture, it's a very concentrated alcoholic extract. It has a lot of the antihistamine, those the constituents, so like the plant chemicals with a lot of those kind of abilities are really extracted well in alcohol, and so they're very solvent in soluble in alcohol. So yeah, uh, it what's hilarious is you can then take the tincture, and it's full of antihistamine. So it pumps you full of histamine, but if you were to drink the tea or the tincture, the extract essentially, it's full of antihistamine. And so it's really great to take if you have allergies. So Brian is very prone to seasonal allergies, and so we always like to have nettle tincture in the house because he has to start taking it a few weeks before spring. So and also the fall, he should we yeah that we should incorporate that because we started to see that he started to get affected because we were going into very rural areas and a lot more pollen was out there. Uh, but yeah, taking it for a couple weeks and it kind of builds up in your system and it just alleviates those symptoms a little bit. Um, so nettles is a nice friend to have. It really is. Um, Another plant that I love goldenrod, but I had never seen the amounts of goldenrod that I saw over the weekend. Like we have goldenrod here, but we here in the city there's like not enough goldenrod, so people are always being told there's different types of goldenrod. Um, and if you don't know it as goldenrod, you might know it as solidago, which is the genus, and it's gorgeous sprays of yellow. And I mean, you see it sometimes on some curbsides. You might see it in local parks where they've like actively tried to plant a little bit. Um, so, I mean, sometimes you might see a nice little bunch, but there were just fields of goldenrod. It was amazing. It was just so much goldenrod. I've never seen so much goldenrod in my entire life. Like, I've seen, seas of yellow flowers, but like in Costa Rica, there was a mountain that they call Yellow, it was like Yellow Mountain, and it was covered in mustard flowers. And it's just beautiful, beautiful yellow. Uh, but I've never seen this much goldenrod. And so goldenrod is also really great for asthma, so also for respiratory issues. So there's a bunch of goldenrod. Um, and so I am drying that as well. And yeah, it's pretty usually a taller plant. Uh, it blooms now in the late fall here in New York, and it's a really nice plant ally to have. Um, and then another plant that was a bunch is lemon balm. So it's starting to wilt. This is I put these aside because I'm gonna be tincturing with a bunch of these. But this is lemon balm, and it really smells like pine sol or some other type of like lemon scented household cleaner. It smells absolutely amazing. You can eat lemon balm just like this. You can absolutely do that. You can make it as a tea, and also a tincture. It's a really great sedative. It's very calming. So if you're having, really rough day, and you kind of just want to, at the end of the night, lemon balm is your friend. Really, really wonderful. It's been great also for any like tummy, kind of like upset stomachs. Um, a lot of mints are great for that. So a lot of mints are carminatives, and so with carminatives, these types of herbs, um, they kind of help alleviate the pain and tension that might be in like your intestinal tract. They also have an anti-foaming effect. So it kind of reduces the amount of CO2, of carbon dioxide, in your gut. So if you're prone to like indigestion and gas, it can be really good to work with some mints because it kind of lowers that. Um, and so you don't have as much bloating and pain. So lemon balm is wonderful, absolutely great. And another one, I'll grab here I didn't grab it as an individual. Here we go. Is anise hyssop as well. This is also a member of the mint family, and oh, it smells so good. It smells so good. Um, yeah, I really like uh the smell of this. I like, gosh, um, it's so good. So good. It's really, I this is a good febrifuge, so it's good to lower fevers. Um, so if someone's running really hot, so if you kind of want to bring that down, but it's just a really good tasting tea as well. But I love that there's still flowers on here. Oh, it looks like I missed this leaf. I don't want any of these bundles to have those predated, like any leaves that have insect damage on them. But yeah, really wonderful. So these are hanging to dry out. So they're hanging up. I have a little circular thing that I'm using to dry my herbs. Um, yeah, and then I'll have a whole kind of system going on right now. Our kitchen is overtaken with drying stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna be making some more kind of bundles, and I'm gonna be sharing those out with the community. So what I'm thinking is trying to make a bunch of these and um, going ahead and putting a call out. So I'll see how many I can process and how many I can prepare so that I can uh, yeah, I can go ahead and give them out. I want to preserve as much as I can so that I have stuff to make things for folks. So I can make salves. So with dried material, it's like I can give that out, but then I can also use that for a bunch of things. So I can use it to make more tincture, or if somebody else wants to make tinctures, we can also use it to like I said, to make salves. To For folks that want to use it to make poultices as well. So to make capsules, I have a capsule machine. Uh, so once it's dried, it's just easier. It's easier to store. So that's what I'm actively trying to do with all of these is is try to dry as much as possible. So then that gives me more time to utilize it in really beneficial ways. Um, yeah, because right now there's a lot. So working on that. Um, there's someone warm paraffin is also good for hand arthritis. I have heard about that. I've never tried that. Never tried that. Um, is it best to hang dry in a garage or outside? Great question. So it depends on your climate. So you don't want it to rain. So you don't want to put it outside anywhere where it would get wet. where it would get direct sun. You want a more darker area away from the sun. So you want it away from the sun when it's drying. And uh, like some people do sun dry certain things, like sun dried tomatoes and things like that. Um, but for these herbs, you typically don't want to do that. It can start to deteriorate the herbs. So you want to have them put somewhere away from the sunlight and dry, definitely dry with a nice amount of air circulation. So if you have a garage that kind of fits that criteria where it's dry, it's not humid. So this is why it depends also on your climate, that your garage is not going to get really humid, that you have a fan, at least a fan going to give it some good air circulation, that you can hang things, or if you spread them, some people spread them in baskets. They have like a lot of baskets, so they kind of set up a table, kind of put them into baskets and just let them air dry like that. Some folks, if they just have a little bit, so let's say you had like a little basil plant and you harvested it, and you want to know, well, how do I dry this? You can use the paper bag method. So basically, you would take some sprigs, you hang them, you hold them kind of upside down, you put them into a paper bag, and then you still grab like the tip, the very tip of the stem, and they kind of push the bag to kind of you can kind of like twist it so that it like the sides are closed, but the area where the stem is still open, and then you can put a clip, and then you can either leave it like that on your counter away from the sun in a dry place, or you can hang it like that as well. And so then after like 2-3 weeks, you can remove the clip, and the paper bag still allowed for air, but it's a nice dark place. Some people actually dry their herbs in the closets. There's too many for us to even attempt that. And I mean, I don't think I would mind if all the clothes smelled like, like one closet full of lemon balm, and one closet full of like anise hyssop. I don't think I would mind that. But there's just too much. There's too much. Um, so, but you could hang dry if you have a garage like that that would allow you to do that. It just has to fit that criteria where it's going to be in a dark place. It's going to be relatively cool. You don't want it to be not like really cold, but you don't want it to be like really hot either. Unless it's dry heat. That's not too bad. And yeah, and that there's a nice amount of air circulation, and you're not piling them all together. So you can't like take a box and kind of leave it like that. You have to like spread it out like on one layer. You don't want them on top of one another. They won't dry well and you'll start to get mold. So yeah, you don't want to do that. So Gabby asks, how do you store everything dried or fresh? Um so I'm not going to be able to keep stuff fresh for very long. So I'm going to be making a bunch of tinctures. So I am going to be using fresh herbs to make tinctures. So tinctures are alcohol extracts. Well, they can be tinctures, can technically also be like vinegar extracts, and also glycerin extracts. So I am going to make some that are apple cider vinegar extracts, and I am going to make alcohol extracts with vodka. And so that's a lot of the fresh material is going to go into that. So I'm going to be making a bunch. And then I'm also going to be making these bundles that I have set to dry upside down, that I'm going to have them dry upside down. And then once they're dry, I can give them out that way. Then I have some that I'm preparing fresh that I'm going to give out fresh to the community, but that has to be in like the next few days. So trying to see how fast I can go. And then other amounts are being dried right now. I have a dehydrator. I have a drying rack that's like a mesh. Let me see, where's my phone? I can probably show you what, because I was trying to make some videos putting them into those racks yesterday. Uh, that and then I'm gonna dry some. I have like a air fryer oven type of thing, and then a regular oven. So trying to process a bunch, so that it does not go to waste. Uh, and let me see here just to show you. Here we go. So right now this is hanging in my kitchen. Hold on, let me bring down the brightness here. Yep. There you go. Um, so this is hanging in my kitchen. These are my hands. Um, but see, it's like this mesh and it hangs. And so I have it hanging on one of the cabinets right now. So I didn't realize how tall it was, like my height. Um, but yeah, so then I was putting some sprigs out, also some just like loose leaves as well in there, but you want to space them out. You don't want them. This is my camera. I have a tripod, and it was falling over. So I'll be editing this into little clips. But basically, I was yeah, so putting it to spread out, and then I have a rotating fan that is right up, so hopefully to dry these out a little bit. They look great this morning, so I left the fan going. Yeah, you want to just spread them out so it looks like but they're on a flat surface. So just drying some sprigs and some loose leaves. But yeah, and you just zip them back up and yeah. So that's doing that. But let me see. I think I can show just how much. Yeah, like here's just the anise hyssop, like it's this box. And so I was trying to show like that, yeah, that I got some flowers and to show the leaves of the anise hyssop. Um, but holy moly, I have this like box that I've been processing. So So yeah, trying to make the most of that. So some of it will be stored in alcohol, some of it because it's going to be macerating to then as an extract. So that can take like 6 to 8 weeks. So I'm processing a bunch of tinctures, and I am going to record. I might end up also going live. I'm not sure. I might do that too, because there's just so much to do. So I was telling Brian it might as well, like, show people. So I might go live on the Urban Garden account, and then I might go on Instagram, and then I might go live on Facebook, I'm sorry, on Instagram for Herbalists Without Borders as well, and do that so that I can kind of have the live while I'm processing herbs, so that people can see like what we're doing. And as I'm making tinctures and then once they're dry, also how I crumble them. There's So once you powder an herb, so you can hand crumble, of course, but once you powder an herb, it can oxidize very quickly, so it's not as shelf stable. You want to use if you powder an herb, you want to use it within a few months. Um, it just uses its potency as time goes on. Uh, so I might make some powder. I have like an herb grinder that grinds it into a powder that's was meant for coffee, and it's been commandeered. It's now my herb pulverizer. But that's more, if I prepare a small amount, and that's the purpose. It's being used to put a bunch of little containers so that people can take it, and it's something you can keep, in your car, in your bag as a styptic. So if you were to get, hurt somewhere, you can use that. I have folks I've had folks also use it like with their pets as a step deck to stop bleeding when they're doing their nails too. So just like quick stop, but just using yarrow instead. Uh, yeah, so a bunch of different types of things. And A Aguila, do you dry the hyssop flowers too? How can you use it? Yeah, same. So the leaves and so all the aerial parts for anise hyssop um, can be used. So aerial parts just means anything above the soil. So stems, leaves, and flowers. So they're all dried and they can all be used in tea. They can all be used if you're making a tincture. Um, so the whole thing, the whole plant can be used. The whole plant is edible. So you can absolutely use it. And yeah, I'm drying the flowers too. Yes, absolutely. Um, and Suzanne, the collapsible laundry baskets made of mesh might work if you were to tilt it and have only one layer. So you can't kind of fill the whole thing with material, and even if it's all mesh, because the center is going to stay, it starts to get warm and like it generates heat in the center. It starts to break down. There can be bacterial growth, mold growth. So you wouldn't be able, let's say, to fill up a mesh laundry basket and then wait for it to dry. The center will never dry. It will just start to mold. So even though the periphery might dry, the center won't, and you'll end up losing the whole thing. So if you have a mesh basket, if you were to kind of tilt it on its side and then just put like just sprigs kind of lining up next to one another, not on top of one another. So like spread out that way. That might work if you have a smaller amount, but you wouldn't be able to fill the whole thing. A Aguilar says, I harvested 2 big boxfuls of lemon balm branches aside from hang drying. I just clip the leaves and spread them on a screen and dry them that way. This way, once dry, I can put them into the container whole. Absolutely. Yeah. 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 You can dry them either way. So that's in that little mesh thing that you saw. So some of them are just leaves. So where the leaves were separated from the stem and put there. And then there's also sprigs that have leaves and yeah, leaves and stems. So you can absolutely do it either way. Oh yeah, there's lots of herbs that are dried whole that way, and I think they look so beautiful. I have one that I've never actually used it. It's just I've just kept it as display. But it's these mountain mint. Uh, Beautiful. And they were dried like as a bouquet. But they were dried, they dried perfectly and they still have like the dried flowers like on it. It's so beautiful. And I didn't want to keep it just in the plastic. So I put it into a taller container, but yeah, it's just there. I love it. I love it so much. It's so pretty. I think a piece had broken off when I was transferring it to the container. Oh yeah, here it is. And I put it where I keep my wood utensils just because it looked so pretty. So this is oops. There you go. So it had kept the little flowers in there. And so it's a whole bouquet and it looks so pretty. But yeah, this was dried completely like this. This is several years old. This is probably like 4 or 5 years old at this point. This is way before COVID. We were in, I think, Chelsea Market, when Brian was still working at restaurants. So yeah, this was a really long time ago. Yeah. So at least 5 years. Yeah. So it still looks great, right? So something once they're dried, they're pretty good. Of course, over time, as I mentioned, they will lose their potency. So it's not that they go bad necessarily. So a lot of herbs are, I mean, you could still make tea out of them, but they just might not be as strong, as like as effective. But you can still taste it. It's just that over time they will lose that. So then they don't even like you'll have really old lavender maybe that you forgot about in your cabinet and been like 10 years, and then when you go to smell it, you don't even smell anything. At that point, it's no longer, it's done. But sometimes it keeps. So I've known folks that have spices, that they're like, yeah, I've been using this this same spice bottle for years. And there's still spice in it, still tastes great, still smells great, and that's totally fine. Totally, totally fine. Um, yes, Suzanne, the old fashioned adjustable window screens are good for a drying rack. Absolutely, absolutely. I was actually telling Brian I was thinking about picking up some window screens for that purpose, because I don't have them on hand. And I do have those metal clothes drying racks. So what I was thinking is if I get screens, I can put them on the drying rack, so at least it has like something for me to put it on, but it gives me more space to dry them because there's just so much. There's so much, and I don't want this to go to waste. This will break my heart if it goes to waste. So trying trying to share as much as possible right now. Um, but yeah, so trying to do a bunch of things with it. Um, I can actually go and grab a tincture just to show you what in the world that it would end up looking like. Um, Let me grab one. Oh, here is this is an oil. Just so this is an infused oil of gosh, of chamomile. And so this was in May. Oh my gosh. So it's been here for a bit. Um, but this is chamomile oil. And so things to keep in mind if you're making it like these infused kind of herbal preparations. So if your material is dry, you don't want to fill the jar up with material and then add your menstruum. So your solvent essentially, so whatever liquid you're using, is also called a menstruum. And so you want to make sure that you're not, if it's dry, that you're not filling it up with dry material and then topping it off, because the dry material, once it gets rehydrated, whether with oil or water, even alcohol, vinegar, it does technically like rehydrate, kind of expands. So then it wouldn't have enough space to expand, and then you're not going to get the best extract. It's like not getting to all the surface areas. So it ends up not working out very well. So if it's dry material, you want to go. Some folks go only halfway to be safe. Um, I've pushed it to three like three-fourths of the way. So to give it some of that space, and then once you put your, let's say in this case, the oil, yeah, it gives it enough space where you can go ahead um, and have it touching all of it, all of the material. If it's fresh, on the other hand, it's already expanded. So you don't have to worry about that. So you could just shove it in there until the whole thing is full. And I mean, you want a little bit of space, so don't jam pack it where it's like completely packed and there's no way for you to kind of like mix it up. But you can lightly fill up the whole jar to the top and then top it off, and that's totally fine. Um, and so yeah, this is chamomile oil, but I was going through a few weeks ago, I think I had mentioned I went through my like apothecary cabinets and I was kind of doing an inventory, and I was kind of relabeling everything because a lot of stuff are labeled like with the kind of marker. Um, and so I wanted to have everything kind of updated with nicer looking labels, because a lot of stuff too wasn't labeled. And so when I would ask Brian, hey, can you pass me this, he wasn't sure what was what. And so I was like, yeah, I should make it much more accessible. So I do want to. I used to have interns come to the house, gosh, um yeah, like from 2017 to like beginning of 2020. It was common, where I would have someone come and check out the apothecary and help and stuff. And it's yeah, I have to make it easier. I would like to have interns again. uh, and yeah, so having proper labels is a must, is a must, because there are a couple like honeys, for instance, where I never labeled them, and I swore I would remember what it was, and I don't. So labeling, cautionary tale, labeling is very important. But I have a whole like section in my cabinet that's all preparations that are ready to be like to the second part of the process. So they're ready to be decanted and um, transferred into their long-term storage. So things like alcohol tinctures, these oils. So with the oils, you could strain out the plant material. You could strain that out, or you could leave the plant material in there for a while. I mean, even indefinitely, as long as there's always enough oil to cover the material. So you don't want it to be exposed to the air where it could mold. So you don't want to take that risk. Um, so what I do is I end up just filtering it out. So I fine filter it with like cotton or muslin, and just have it filtered, get all the plant material out until it's just oil. And then I store a lot of our preparations in amber bottles, so darker bottles, and they're kept in the cabinet away from sunlight. So I have oils to process, I have honeys to process, I have vinegar tinctures to process, and then I have alcohol tinctures to process. So there's a bunch, and now I'm gonna have more. So I thought I had brought down the amount um, of uh, of tinctures and stuff. I thought I had consolidated into just one little section in the cabinet, and now I'm gonna be full up again. And I just like I literally just got rid of like had processed a bunch of tinctures a few months ago, so I have a bunch of mason jars, and so so they're ready to go. So it worked out. So I think I might have to go out and get more vodka if I want to make as much, tincture as I can. So making big batches, big batches. And yeah, excited though. I'll be able to share this out, and that's the goal. So that's why I'm kind of panicking and at the same time excited, because I it's like, okay, there's only so many hours in the day. I still have to work, but I need to get these processed as quickly as I physically can, so that they don't go to waste. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Um, if you're in New York City and you would be interested in any herbs, definitely let me know, because I can wrap them up in paper towels in little bundles, and then I'm here in Astoria. I'm happy to like meet you at the train station, so you don't have to come out and give you a bunch of herbs. Um, so if you're interested, let me know. I'm happy to share. So this is meant to go out to the community, for folks to take, to learn from, to experience. And so by all means, reach out. But I mean, the goal, of course, is to give it to a lot of folks. We have, for instance, a very large homeless population here in Astoria. And there's, and with the winter months coming up, it's we want to have a lot of things for immunity. So, I mean, yarrow is great to have. I mean, the goldenrod for upper respiratory. And then there's also, I forgot to grab I keep having to step because there's just so much stuff um, off to the side here. Um, Here we go. So there's also, they gave me a bunch of elderberries. So you cannot eat elderberries fresh like that. I mean, technically, it's not like you're gonna get, it's not like fatal or anything, but you might get a really bad stomach ache. So I don't recommend. You also don't want to have them with these stems. So the stems can apparently have different um, poisonous types of things like cyanide. It kind of builds up in the stems. And so you don't want to, chew that or have that in a tea or anything like that. Um, I have this one fresh, but I have some in my dehydrator, and so yeah, these are going to be dehydrated. I might make syrup out of these. So the way you process these, you so since you can't have them fresh, you can boil them. So some people make, elderberry syrup and things. So that's what I want to make. Um, but then there's also you can dehydrate them to use them later. So I want to dehydrate the majority of them so then I can make packets and then share them with people. And then I'm going to save one of these to make some elderberry syrup that I can also share with folks, but then it's already prepared. So um, they smell really nice. I actually gave a couple of them that had fallen out to our isopods. Um, oh, I can actually show you. And they've been eating the oops, yeah, they've been eating the berries. So this is the mini. This was the first one that I started, so you can see how tiny it is. So it's a lot of layers, and so the isopods are able to actually go in between here, so they'll crawl all the way down here. So there's wood chips, there's sphagnum moss, there's peat, worm castings, and then there's also leca all under here. There's horticultural charcoal in there. And then on top has been layers of leaf litter, pieces of wood to let them rot for them. So they eat the wood. And I put a lemon balm leaf in here, and then I put some elderberries. So I don't want to tip it too much, but they had started munching on these leaves, but you could see these little white things. So those are the isopods. But right now they're concentrating on the berries that I put in here instead. So here I think there's even more. Yeah, there's all of these are, well, you can probably see them moving. Um, they're very nervous whenever if I open the lid, then they all go underground. But when I feed them, when I go and I drop food, you can see the top layer of the leaves like shifting, like out of a horror movie. And then they all start coming out. But they're really fun. It's a really easy kind of little thing to have if you want like a little ecosystem to keep on your desk. I keep them on the bookshelf. Um, and yeah, it's really cool. It's like much better than like an ant farm, I think. I always wanted an ant farm as a child. I never had one. So now creating like little bioactive terrariums, it just brings me a lot of joy. And so having something like this set up and seeing how their population has exploded and it's always really fun to watch. And so I just want to keep spreading them out. But here you can actually see they're in the different layers. So here they're under the leaf litter, but we can still feed them. Um, but yeah, they go down here, they go into the sphagnum moss. Oh, here's one all the way at the bottom. So this isn't like compacted. So it's like a whole little intricate network, and they're able to move around. And this only requires once a week. I give it some maintenance, and that's just kind of topping it off with leaf litter and giving it. So I'll pick like a little corner, and that's where I will put some either distilled or natural like spring water. So you don't want to put tap water because that can kill them. And yeah, and then I just kind of give it a good look, make sure everything is looking okay. They eat mold and things too. So um, I give them, anywhere from they'll eat that leaf litter and they'll eat these little pieces of wood. But also if I drop any material like this, like a berry or something, they will eat moss as well. They will eat, sometimes I put fish food, fish flakes. They love that. Um, Wheat germ, um, nutritional yeast. And what else do I give them? Oh, and they love, 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 love dehydrated minnows. So if anyone here has cats or dogs, you might be familiar when they freeze dry these like fish treats that you give your pets, but they're like these little fish and they're just dried. And I'll put one in, and after about 2 days, it's just a skeleton. And then give it a, by the end of the week, the skeleton is even gone. So they will consume everything on the outside, and then they will go ahead and consume the bones as well. And so then there's nothing there. There's nothing left. And it's really cool. I want to set up like a time lapse camera, so I'm gonna try to do that to just show how they just decimate the stuff that I put in here. But yeah, it's been a really healthy colony. So this is I spread into a new one that's the same type of thing. But now you can kind of see the size difference here. So here we go. So it's just slightly bigger, and slightly wider. So yeah, so the new colonies are going to be in here, and yeah, and if you're interested, let me know. So I'm excited to get these. Hoping this week. I'll see how the processing goes because that might take priority this week. I really wanted to do the terrariums this week, but that was before I realized how many herbs that we were going to go pick up. No idea. Um, another plant that another herb that we actually got to, which I forgot to put in my basket, was spearmint. So there's a bunch of spearmint as well. So also really good for like tummy issues, and just good as a general tea. So as a just yeah, as a something to add great flavoring. So I especially like spearmint with lemonade. So good. If I know for folks who've never tried it, when before I tried it, I was like, "What? That's not gonna work." It absolutely works. So so you make lemonade and then you add that spearmint to it. So good. It is so refreshing. When we were in Costa Rica, that's all we were drinking was literally like the mint lemonade. That's all we were having. Anytime we went to like a restaurant or we saw like if we wanted to pick something up and we saw that they had it because it's very common there, that's what we were drinking the whole time. And I think here, I'm trying to remember, I think we did find one place that was selling it. But it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. So um we have to try to replicate it. We have to try to replicate it. It's just so, so good. So, so good. Really delicious. Um, but yeah, so this is gonna be my next couple days. Oh, also on Wednesday. So I don't know how long, with the editing and all that. So I'm not sure when the episode will come out. So I just know that I'm filming on this coming Wednesday. Um, the Herb Rally, if anyone here is familiar with Herb Rally and Mason. So they have a podcast, and they have like an herbal school, and they also have so the schoolhouse, the Herb Rally schoolhouse, and then they have a podcast. And so they're going to be interviewing me about my work, and with a special focus on the donation network, which is hilarious because it was not timed this way. That email from the farm just came out of nowhere, and we said, well, we're going to be heading up to Albany anyway this weekend, so we might as well make a detour. Um, and so it just kind of it worked out very, the whole thing was very serendipitous. So even as I mentioned, when getting there and then literally going like, this is exactly what we want to do. It was so weird. um Talking about like, oh, like our wish list, like what we would want to do, and then getting there and going, what in the world? It's like you stepped into what we were talking about. It was really, really, it was really cool and odd at the same time. Uh, so yeah, this was not planned this way. So it's great because then I'll be able to also show, um, some of the stuff that we're doing, and how we're processing a bunch of these. So yeah, really, really excited to get these prepared in the myriad of ways that I'm trying to get them prepared, and doing that. And then I have a full day today, so it's like not only trying to do this, but I'm redoing the Herbalist Without Borders website, and we're gonna be it's like a 3 hour meeting that I have in a little bit. So that's gonna be yeah. So I have a full day. Um and yeah. But oh, Suzanne, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, and have fun in class. Um so yeah, so this is what my day is looking like. So doing a lot of this, and then a meeting. So I'm like, and in my head I'm going, oh my God, I'm gonna lose 3 hours of time of processing, but there's no way around it. It has to get done. So this is what my day is looking like. Um, and yeah, and then trying to get this done. So it's a lot. It's a lot. Um, but yeah, please include ask any questions. I'm gonna stay on just for a few more minutes because I have to prepare for that meeting, and um yeah, because it's in a little while. It's like at 1:30, so um, I'll stay on for a few more minutes. If anybody has any questions that they want to ask, yeah, I wanted to share what was happening. Like this is a look into like reality. I like being transparent with everyone, and yeah, this is what my life is this morning is boxes of herbs everywhere, uh, racks of drying herbs, and so yeah, I have to bring down a bunch of these. I have a big baskets of mason jars like on top of the fridge. So I need to bring those all down and start filling them up, and then seeing how much. I have a couple bottles of vodka, so I can make quite a few. But I really have to see how much I have, because I think I have to make a lot. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, but yeah, feel free to drop any questions. Again, I'll stay on for a few more minutes. Um, what else did I want to share with you? I'm not sure if I mentioned, but we also picked up uh, some kombucha scobies. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last class. So we're we're learning as we go with the scobies, and we're gonna make our own kombucha. So excited to get started on that. Right now it's sitting in its reserve tea, like in its uh just kind of hanging out there, but I have to set up a SCOBY hotel. And so I have to pick up today too some cane sugar and black tea, and have that going. So I'll let you know how that goes. Marian, would pine cone mulch alter the pH in the soil? That's a great question. Um, hmm. So pine needles are usually, and bark are usually something that could definitely skew your pH. It could make it much more acidic, if I'm remembering correctly. I believe it goes acidic. Um, but in terms of the pine cones themselves, so that's a great question. I've never tried pine cone um, mulch. I've never heard of anyone using pine cone mulch. My thing is thinking a lot of pine cones, I mean, they do have like they might have traces of resin on them, and I'm wondering if as they break down, um, it could potentially skew your soil, kind of lower the pH and make it a little bit more acidic, theoretically. But I don't know. I've never worked with pine cone mulch. I didn't even realize that. that pine cones are being used to to make mulch. I've always only heard of like pine needle, um, having like pine needles or pine bark as a mulch, um, for those purposes. So, and with pine needles, just make sure that uh, what's it called? Um, the they're allelopathic. So basically they can suppress the growth of it doesn't work on every single type of plant, but it works on quite a few. And it kind of suppresses growth and competition right under the pine trees. So yeah. Oh, Margie. Oh yeah, so they're not worms, these are isopods. So these are dwarf, there we go. They're moving around. Uh dwarf white isopods. And so you might know them as roly-polies or pill bugs. Let me put here dwarf white. There we go. So let me share my screen just so that you see a closer look. Here we go. There we go. And so there we go. So these are dwarf white isopods. As you see, they're very tiny. So they're like a very small ant almost, very, very tiny, pretty close to the size of springtails if you have springtails. I actually do add springtails to these cultures, but I think that the isopods outcompete them. So I never really see them take a foothold in these the two miniature cultures that miniature terrariums I've made. The springtails have not taken a foothold. Meanwhile, in the bigger terrariums, they do. So they do take very much a hold, and then the isopods are still there, but they're kind of much more. Their population stays pretty small in comparison to the springtails. But I think it's just they just have like more advantage in here because they're really establishing themselves, and at this point the colonies are getting pretty large, hence why I'm gonna just make a bunch of sub colonies, establish them, and then start to um, sell them. But yeah, they're super neat. They really are really neat. Really cool little pet, really low maintenance, and it's just something really interesting. And it's like a whole little ecosystem that you can create because you're giving them all this material that starts to break down. You start to also see sometimes that like mycelium, so there might be sometimes you might get mushrooms, small mushrooms. You might also get, even if there is something that goes to mold. So let's say I put a berry in there and it starts to mold, they eat that. So it's like a closed system. Uh, and of course, I add extra food in there. I don't have any live plants in these. But if I were to set up, let's say, a closed ecosystem with plants and stuff, then yeah, a lot of people can kind of leave that going for years and they'll be pretty good. Uh, yeah, it's like this closed cycle. As long as it stays moist, like it has to stay with some moisture. If you let that completely dry out, you can kill them. So that's one of like the leading causes of death of isopods when you have them as pets or you're raising your own colonies is if you let them kind of dry out. So you do not want to let them dry out at all. They will die rather quickly. And so that it's very unfortunate. So that's why you just need to make sure like away from direct sunlight. Um, if you have them in a terrarium that has lights, especially if you have like plants growing in there or animals like reptiles or amphibians that they need to have those heat lamps as well, you're going to find yourself really having to check at least like once a day just to make sure that the soil isn't drying out, that it's not too dry in there, because that will they will they will die on you. So but they're so great and so easy to take care of. So it's fun. It's like a really cool thing. So one of the terrariums that I'm making, I'm gifting to a friend of ours because he liked the idea of mines, and so he wants one for his desk, and so I'm gonna set that up for him. Um, but it's just really cool. It's a fun little thing to have. Um, yeah, Margie, definitely. Let me know. Right now, once I set these up, I'm not going to be shipping them. So it will be for pickup in New York City. Um, and I'm happy to like meet folks places. That's totally fine within the city. But but yeah, so I think eventually I will, I'll see how it goes. I eventually, it's something I could do is sell kits, and so I could kind of pre-measure out how much of everything folks would need, and then I could make like a standardized kit type of thing where I would have, a little tutorial. Then I would have all the materials, so how folks could set it up themselves. Then add your isopods, your leaf litter, and then I could include like food and uh, like a little spray bottle to kind of get you started. Uh, yeah, so thinking I might end up doing that because they're just so much fun, and so yeah, you can actually add that. And Marion says I have lots in the garden. Thought they would suppress the weeds. Yeah, um, yeah, so like things with like pine mulch, pine needles especially, they can very much help suppress weed activity, like the weeds growing in your garden. A lot of folks try things like the cloth tarps and things like that, or black plastic. It doesn't work. It starts to the plastic starts to rip, and then you'll have pieces of plastic everywhere, and it's like you'll never get rid of it. It's so annoying. The same with the cloth material. It'll start eventually to start to degrade, and then there's just pieces like blowing in the wind. So and then if you're trying to replant something, it's just, yeah, it can get very, very frustrating. I've seen this be a really big issue. Uh, so having that, um, even one of the places that we went in Albany over the weekend, a friend's garden, they have a German Shepherd who likes to dig, and so he likes to dig, and he ripped up. They had like a layer of that black fabric tarp. They were trying to suppress some weeds that were growing on their property, and that dog has just like gone right through it and made just a bunch of holes like everywhere. Um, so what I found is even things like cardboard actually end up working really well because it will suppress the plants under it, and then it'll start to break down. But it's something that, it can break down and actually feed the soil and not be something that ends up just adding more adding more like non-organic materials to the soil. But yeah, so cardboard boxes work really well if you ever want to try that. Um, yeah, sometimes, yeah, for the weed suppression, because sometimes gravel doesn't necessarily do the trick. And then if you don't want gravel like all over your property, because it never stays where it's supposed to stay. I did see that some people are gluing their gravel. I have seen that. My worry with something like that would be that it's becoming impervious, like impervious, I think that's the word. Yeah, impervious to water. And so what that would be my worry is if you're spraying like this entire, let's say you're along the edge of your house or something like that, and you're spraying the glue to hold the gravel in place. Then when it rains, it doesn't go through the gravel and into the soil, into the ground. It just stays higher. And so I feel like you might risk having water build up on your property. Even let's say if there's a slope or something, it could get into your house. Uh, so I don't know if the glue on the gravel is the best route to take. But I actually saw that, and that was shocking because I've seen glue on stones that are put into plants like a house plants, but I did not realize that people are doing that to like their entire yard and their driveways and like along the edges of their house. they're spraying this glue on their gravel, on their stones. So I don't know. I don't know. I have, I feel like there's a lot of cons in that regard. Um, but yeah. But all right, it's 1:15, so I have like 15 minutes to get ready. So I'm gonna leave you here. I hope this was informative. Yeah, this is taken over my brain in the last 2 days. So I wanted to share what's going on and why, yeah, this has jumped to the forefront. Um, but by all means, thank you so much for hopping in and hanging out and hearing me talk about what's going on with all these herbs. It's they're the whole goal is to get them in some form of other of, or other out to people and to people that need them. And so that's what I'm going to be focusing on, trying to get as much processed as I can possibly do. And yeah, so that then we can share them out with the public. So thank you, Mary, and thank you. I need all the luck. Send me all the luck. But thank you so much, everyone. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. And the replay will be up. If you're not on the Facebook group, there is a link on the website, but you can also email me as well if you'd like, and I'm happy to send you the link that includes um, all of the replays so that you can check that out. But thanks so much, everyone. Seriously, stay safe out there. Have a really great rest to your Monday. Just beginning of the week. Just hope that it's off to a good start and enjoy the rest of your week. So I hope it's wonderful and I hope I'll see you next time. So have a great one, everyone. Bye for now. Bye.